6, 7, 8. Hello. Welcome to the RuCap with me, your host, Alex Ringler, calling in from, yes. We're going to end up with like 5 different hand things by the time we finish the series. Calling in from gloomy New York City. Everyone go say who you are, where you're calling in from, and the last time you saw a monster movie. Russ, go ahead.
Hi, Russ White, Q-Life editor, manager, owner, janitor, and producer of DQDB, calling in from Las Vegas, Nevada. And the last monster movie, I don't like horror movies, so I guess the last monster movie would have been probably a Twilight movie.
Okay.
Is that a monster movie?
I'll allow it.
Vampire movie.
Michael, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Michael Barbieri, dining and entertainment writer, calling in from New York. The last monster movie I saw, it wasn't really a monster movie, but it was a horror film, was Joan Crawford in Berserk.
Well, she was a monster.
Yeah. That was fun.
And Andrew. Hey, boo.
Hello. Andrew calling in from Las Vegas. I don't really like horror either, so the closest one for me would be Get Out.
Yeah, okay, I get that. Yeah, horror, psychological, something or another. Yeah. Oh, and who's that beautiful face I see over there in the corner? Walter.
Hello, it's the dreaded and feared Walter Kurtz coming to you live from Donkey Mirror, home of the chandelier, in the world's most important and most celebrated metropolis, New York City. Last monster movie, I don't know, Cloverfield? It was on TV. That's it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the genre either. Mine might have been that that silent one with Emily Blunt. Was it called Quiet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because that had a monster in it.
A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place, that's what it's called.
Quiet Place. Thank you very much. And all that gorgeous blonde hair. Hi, Miss Aaliyah. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
All right.
My name is Aaliyah, and I'm a fashion designer and clearly a drag queen, and I'm calling in from Los Angeles, California. The last monster movie, I wouldn't say it's a movie, but I did see Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein.
Okay.
I was doing research for a look. So, and it was really cute, but I couldn't really say monster. It's a monster movie. It's a musical.
Well, it's a spoof of a monster movie. So
yeah.
Exactly. So, and last but not least, hey, Christopher, how you doing?
Hi, I'm Christopher Henry. I'm an actor, singer, comic, movie critic, and the last horror movie I saw was Glitter starring Mariah Carey.
I was hoping so.
In a while.
Yeah. Close second is Evita with Madonna.
Ooh, not a fan.
Now, 2 monsters. Which is worse? You take your pick. Actual legit monster movie. So not horror, because I just saw Us, which was great. I'm reviewing it now. But probably Halloween, I would say, is the closest. The recent one, the remake, was the closest thing to a monster movie I saw. That and The Nun, which was atrocious. So it made enough money. Don't see it.
Oh, yeah. I want, we'll talk off camera about Halloween and what you liked about it, because I wanted to see it, but I never did. Anyway, so we get to this challenge, and then we are at the erasing of the note on the mirror moment. And we get into an argument between Raja and Evie about Raja saying, if I have to lip sync every week, then I'm just going to do that and stay in the competition. And everyone was like, is that really a thing on this show? I feel like there's been one person, I think, who has survived 3 lip syncs, and was it Cameron Michaels, if I recall? I think she had survived 3 and ended up in top 4. And so that's very unusual. And so I think Evie was just kind of trying to help Raja, being like, well, take that kind of energy and put it into the challenges. Otherwise, you're not going to get that crown, even if you do make it to top 4. And as we can see, that was the case last season as well. So do we think there's some validity? Is there a validity to both arguments, or is Evie just right? I personally think Evie is right. Let's start with Andrew, our new panelist.
I agree with Evie. I don't agree with how she went about conveying that message, but I don't disagree with her in any way, shape, or form. Just like Cameron, you can maybe you'll make it to top 4. There's no way you're getting the crown if you're always in the bottom.
If you're faltering that much, yeah. Michael, what do you think?
I agree. You need to put the energy into the challenges, because that will keep you out of the bottom 2, bottom 3. Yeah, I agree. I agree with what Evie said.
Yeah, but I think we've heard this in seasons past where it's like, well, the thing I'm good at is being me on stage and doing my thing, but so I'm not good at, acting, comedy, this, and this, and then back to the Bianca quote, and what are you good at? So it's like you have to know the competition and know how malleable you have to be.
I think it's better to, if you think about Naomi wasn't in the bottom that often, if at all. She just kind of maintained in the middle, and that let her survive longer, I think.
Well, that's the thing. If I listened to the podcast this week, the What's the Tea podcast, and they were talking about the current season and how they're like, there's two ways of approaching like doing well in this competition. And one is to kind of like fly under the radar and do okay, and then towards the end, when fewer girls are around, then you can kind of stand out of the crowd a little bit more, or you can have the scorched earth policy that Silky's having and just kind of come in there and be big from the beginning and show I'm good TV, so keep me around. So there's that as well. Aaliyah, what's your take on this? Because I know you've, are we allowed to say that you've submitted a couple times?
In the past, not recently.
Yeah.
I would agree with Eve. I would agree with everybody. I think it's kind of a foolish thing to think if you're assuming you're gonna have to lip sync your way through the whole show anyway, though, you might as well like start pre-backing. That does not, to me, like I'm looking at her like, girl, where is your confidence at all? I get you're trying to like give yourself a boost because you didn't do so hot this week, so you're trying to like mentally prepare yourself for the rest. But
yeah,
girl, if you're in that state of mind already this early in the competition, like, girl, you better put them jewels you've already worn away once or twice. Girl, start packing that shit up now.
Yes, that wig you're gonna reuse. Maybe go and pack it. You probably won't need to reuse it. But
probably not.
We'll get to someone else who's kind of self-predicting their own demise. But first, we get the mini challenge, which normally when it's a mini challenge where RuPaul is selling something, I get a little like, RuPaul selling something, which, it's her show. She can sell whatever she wants. But like, I really like this one because it's like they had to make themselves into like dolls, which is a very drag thing to do. So I really thought it was fun, as opposed to when it was like the chocolate challenge of yesteryear, where it was like, oh, this doesn't make sense to me. But this one made sense to me. I thought it was a really cute way of introducing a new product to Bruce. Walter, what did you think of the mini challenge this week?
I thought it was a great mini challenge. I kept thinking they must have told them they need to bring a doll outfit.
Maybe.
Because it's just like, it was too, everybody's was too on point, specific. Also, it was telegraphing, they were telegraphing that Raj was going to win because they just stayed on her as the doll forever and reading and reading and reading and reading and reading and reading and reading. I thought, okay, she's going to win even though she's not the best one. I think the producers just wanted that because she was in the bottom. You see that happen a number of times where somebody was in the bottom and then the next week they win the mini challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought there were other people that were better, but that one was a good challenge.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, and I think you're right. And also, I hope Raja actually takes the picture of like that cutout next to the RuPaul doll and makes dolls to sell at DragCon, because if she doesn't, then that's like a missed opportunity there.
He's smart.
Especially know that she knows like months ahead of time that she won that mini challenge. It's like, okay, I got to make a doll for when we're at DragCon. That's how you have to start thinking these days, kid. Christopher Henry, what did you think of this mini challenge this week?
Yeah, I'm kind of on. Wow, what happened with my voice there? Peter Brady.
Sounds normal.
Yeah. Hey, shut up. No, I thought it was good. Like you said, like in the past, we had really like blatant product promotions from RuPaul, like the chocolate bar and everything. And this did seem to fit with how you'd present like a drag queen challenge at the same time as promoting Ru's merchandise. I do agree. It was clearly telegraphed that Raja was going to win, also because we had that story moment from before of her and Evie arguing, which, when you set it up, like, I mean, at the end of the day, like we said, this is a reality show and there's a story through line that's going on. There's a lot of story
happening. Yep, behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're really being hit hard over the head with the Vanjie Brooklyn thing. I mean, we could use a little less of that. But yeah, I thought it was a really clever way to do a mini challenge, and it wasn't another acting challenge exactly. I mean, you were kind of performing. But did everybody notice that Miss Vanjie, I mean, she's really riding the Miss Vanjie thing, that she just came out as the Miss Vanjie doll.
Yeah.
It's in that little Kim pose that she was doing. That was interesting.
Maybe she'll have a doll as well. I hope it's like the doll from her other season though, where when she kicked her foot, it went to 90 degrees and her shoe flew off, and it's just like you have a button you can push on her back and the shoe flies off and kicks in the back.
You should.
I would buy that doll. I think that'd
be smart.
But getting back to like kind of self-predicting your demise in a way, Silky was kind of doing the same thing in the workroom after we got the ball challenge, being like, well, I'm not good at this, so if I have to lip sync this week, great. It's like, is that kind of self-deprecating, or is that kind of being like, well, this isn't my thing, I'm going to do my best, but I'm preparing myself to lip sync just in case? Is it smart or is it self-defeating? Russ, what do you think about that?
I think it's self-defeating. Yeah, I don't think it's a good strategy for her.
Okay. Why do you think it's that, as opposed to being like, I should be prepared? You know, it's like did it not seem like she was talking that way? Was she just talking a little bit more self-defeating to herself, or?
I don't know. I don't know.
Just seems too negative, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, it's smart to like, I mean, you get all the songs ahead of time, I'm told. So it's smart to just kind of know what the song is that week, and as you're walking into the workroom or you're in the van on the way to the studio, like.
Wait, all of them? Literally every?
I've heard all. I've heard.
They get the full song list.
That's disappointing.
I don't know if they get what week is what.
No.
So that could be a thing where it's like, I don't know what we're gonna have to sing this week. But it's good to like kind of, as you're sewing all your dresses for the season or putting in your orders for all your dresses this season, be listening to that playlist. I would be over and over again. But, you know, I think it's like 6 to 1, half a dozen the other. It's like, if you know you're not good at something, it's good to think, I might be lip syncing this week, I should also be preparing for that. But there is a side of it where it is kind of negative, being like, you don't know what you could do till you start doing it. So Michael, what did you think? Do you think she was like shooting herself in the foot from the get-go, or?
Actually, no, I don't.
Yeah.
I think it's good to prepare yourself psychologically
Mm-hmm.
for the prospect of being in the bottom and having to lip sync, because then it doesn't hit you over the head when they go, okay, you're in the bottom.
Well, that's true, because
I don't think it's a terrible. It's not really a strategy, but I just don't think it's a terrible thing to do.
it's kind of like the Boy Scout thing, always be prepared, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Always prepare for being in the bottom.
Always prepare for being a bottom. Is that the Boy Scout mantra? Was that it?
Was when I was in the Boy Scouts.
I was in the Cub Scouts, and we weren't allowed to talk that way.
That's a very douchey motto.
Alex, I think you kind of hit it on the head earlier when you were talking about she should have a doll set up, and I think no matter what happens with Silky at this point, I think she knows that she came here to do what she wants, because she has seen the success of people like Alyssa Edwards and other people who have marketed themselves on their personality on this show. And I think what makes you smartest on this show is not necessarily all of what you do on it, but it's what you do after, which is kind of to your point earlier. And if she leans hard, which she clearly is, into this whole personality queen on the show, and then really works that like into a YouTube channel afterwards, if she were to go home next week or this week, it wouldn't matter. Like she did, her and look at Miss Vanjie. Miss Vanjie was on one episode, and she's arguably one of the most famous contestants on that show. It's all about how you spin it after.
And that's another thing that RuPaul and Michelle have said. They're like, at this 11th year in the game, if you don't realize that, you have to be thinking during your season as, what merch can I sell? What album do I want to drop right after this? Like, blah, blah, blah. You have to, like, that has to be a part of the game, too.
Like Trixie.
It seems so hard that that's why I don't want to be a drag queen. I was like, you have to work so much. It's so hard. But do you think that is something that the queens take into consideration these days, Miss Aaliyah Sky, like the branding and the merch and stuff like that?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's like 50-50 at this point, because you're like, you just got to plan for all that stuff? Or is it more like, okay, get through my season and then start thinking about it?
I think it's smart to think about it during the season, of course,
Yeah.
because you could pass a lot of like golden opportunities to do something and then not do it. So I think it is absolutely smart to think about it beforehand. However, I would say 10, 12 years ago, no, it wasn't something you ever thought about, because drag queen merchandise wasn't really ever something a lot of people, like, girl, ain't nobody buying my shirt 10 years ago. They ain't buying it today either. But 10 years ago, they definitely were buying it.
But that's the thing. From 10 or 12 years ago, it would be just like shirts. But now there's like all different kind. Like everyone's dropping a single, so it's like it's so much other stuff. So yeah,
I think it's smart. My boss at work, she is like a huge Drag Race fan, and she collects all of them. She's got the little Pop Funko dolls, and she's got like all kind. Yeah, I gave her like my button sets and stuff. I mean, there's people out there, girl. They'll buy anything and everything related to any girl. So if you're on that show, like, you'd be really foolish not to be thinking about that stuff ahead of time.
Completely, I agree. Now getting to the main challenge this week, I love a ball. I love when we have a ball. I always get a little mad that there's not a main challenge, like other than like, you know, having to create the third look. But that always gives us more time in the workroom, and I think that's kind of another point of doing the ball, aside from the three looks, is that we get more workroom and we get more kind of a dive into what these girls are thinking, how they're relating to each other, and that sort of thing. Did we see anything that stood out on the runway as particularly good or particularly bad that maybe wasn't the same as what the judges saw? For me, I didn't really like Vanjie's final look. I thought it was a little simple. And I really liked Scarlet's witch look, the Blood Witch. I thought that looked really, really good. So to, you know, and she was safe, obviously, and so she did a good job. But I'm surprised that she maybe wasn't in the top because of her first look, because my thing with her is that she's not cinching enough. Her body's starting to look like a tube just because she doesn't really pat her hips. She has very slight shoulders, and she has a skinny waist, but she's looking like this to me. I was like, cinch that waist, and that outfit would have looked 10 times better. Walter, did you have any favorites, not favorites of the runway, or any problems with the runway itself this week?
Well, nobody met the brief on all three of them, clearly.
Yeah.
Some people totally punted, particularly with the trick-or-treater thing. They weren't sexy. Yeah. And some of the monsters weren't even monsters. One thing that I was a little surprised by was Brooklyn Heights, because up until his monster look, which was kind of a dress, which also was not a monster,
no.
All he does is just these body outfits. He's very, very vertical in everything that he wears. And I'm wondering when he's going to actually come out in a dress. So I was surprised that he won, because he didn't meet the brief with the third one. And we're seeing the same silhouette over and over again.
Yeah, I could understand that. Like when he came out in the black dress, I was like, very pretty, and okay, a widow, I guess, but you know,
it's not a monster.
Yeah, and our fashionista over there, our resident stylist and designer, Aaliyah, what did you see on the runway?
Well, I just want to point out that I love that you're referring to all these drag queens as he's. That's really comical to me.
As he's?
Yes, like he should have had it more. Like, yes, she should have. Girl, no, I thought all the looks were cute. I wasn't here last week. Can I just throw the elephant out in the room, though? Can I point out, and I know this is kind of not with the runway, but it is, why is everyone giving Ariel Versace grief over the same look when I feel like I've seen Brooklyn wear that same blonde wig on repeat? Slick back.
Because Brooklyn has a storyline.
Am I crazy? Am I just imagining things?
No, you're accurate.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I thought the looks were cute. Nobody stood out to me as like completely horrible. I loved Evie's little T-Rex thing. That was cute and different. So good for her for doing that. I think Walter was right though. I don't think any girl hit all three categories on the head. I don't think a single one of them did. I think they all faltered somewhere. Mm-hmm. But overall, it was a great look. I mean, 33 looks. It's a lot of looks to get through, and it's a lot of highs and lows. So I thought it was a good runway, though.
With Evie's look, I'm surprised one of the judges didn't say Raptor. I don't even know her. I was waiting for that.
Oh God!
I know all of the puns all the time.
All the puns. Oh my God!
I bet it's gonna happen right now.
So bad.
Mr. Henry, what did we think of the runway this week?
It's funny. The minute you said Miss Vanjie, I felt the same way. I was kind of like, man, they really want to ride this whole she fucking Brooklyn thing way out, because I didn't think she was strong. Like, I thought she'd at least be read a little bit on the runway, because I thought that last look too, I didn't think it was that great. And I feel like she's guilty, just kind of like Ariel. She kind of does the same thing, and she's always got this really white face. It's like, look at how white your face look, girl. Like it's really, it's really. So I don't know. I think it's Brooklyn was great. Evie was great. You know, we always have to have a club kid kind of look in RuPaul's Drag Race. It's sometimes it's Milk, and now it's Miss Evie. I loved the Rapture thing. I thought that was great. I think everybody was right. Not everybody was like consistent with all three looks. That said, I do feel like they're a little hard on Ariel, and I think it's just because it was her time to go, like story-wise. Like all she was doing at this point was crying, and we already sent Farrah home a while ago. So I mean, we don't have room for that shit anymore. So,
ooh, they should open a show together.
They should. It would just like, you know, watch us cry for a half hour.
Exactly.
Sorry, Farrah.
Over drag. Sorry.
I love you, but it's real.
Andrew, what did we think of the challenge this week?
I really like The Ball is always one of my favorite episodes, so I loved it. I agree that Banshee's final look wasn't great. Wasn't horrible, but wasn't great. But I loved her first two. I thought she should have been on the run or on the top just for those first two. But I guess the bulk of it is really on what you made yourself. And if that sucks, it sucks. But they brought Evie out for that. They hated her, Voodoo, but they loved her first two, so they let her stay. And Rue even said, you know, I just wanted to talk to you. Like, you weren't the best, but, which I thought was kind of odd. Overall, I think Plastique should have won that challenge. She had the closest to all three being on point.
Yeah, I agree with
anyone there. Even though they were a little on the basic side and the same silhouette we've seen, they hit the challenge.
Yeah.
And I loved, even though her first and last look were horrible, Sugarcane's Witch. The Bloody Mary.
Oh, was that the one? I think I quoted it as Scarlet's. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was
Scarlet was the Fire Island Witch.
That's right. Yeah, no, I don't know. But no, Sugar's Witch. That's the one I was thinking of. Thank you for correcting me. Like, yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, so I thought she should have been safe for that, and Silky should have been on the bottom with Ariel.
Yeah, and why? Like, if you're gonna do a voodoo doll, like, why not come out with like huge pins in yourself? Like,
exactly.
Like,
yeah.
You know, and that's at least like, oh, there's the challenge. The rest like look just like a dress. Michael, what did you think of the runway and the challenge this week?
Lots of hits and misses. My favorite, the one that I liked all three looks, not that they all hit the brief, but the person whose looks I enjoyed all the way through was Nina. I think she did a great job with all three of her looks. I loved the little shop, except I wanted her the plants on her tits to open up and do this, you know. And the witch, you know, from the Dark Ages, from the witch hunts everywhere. I love that. I love that when she moved, the flames on her dress kind of seemed to move. They was like it was real fire. So yeah, I like, and then that last one where she pulled her face off, brilliant.
It was amazing.
It's a Roxy move right there. Face under her face.
Absolutely.
And Russ, reveal.
Yeah, Russ, did you have any tops or bottoms this week at the runway / ball challenge?
I like the little shop of horrors. That was really cute and unexpected. I did like. Was it Brooklyn that had the snake?
Yeah.
No. Who had the snake?
Which snake?
All right.
It was
Raja.
That was Raja.
That was Raja. I like the snake. The needles. I can't remember who's who.
That's Ariel.
Needles was Ariel.
It was Ariel.
Yeah. I thought that
None of us know who anybody is on this challenge.
Well, they dressed up as people we can't recognize. So I like the.
Who is she?
I thought the needles was really innovative.
I liked the needles too, but I don't necessarily think it was the challenge of like sexy trick or treater. Oh. It was a gown with needles on it, so I was like, I really like the look. I don't know if it was for the challenge though.
But if we're accepting that no one stuck to stuck to what they were supposed to do, let's go with who we like.
True, absolutely, yeah. And so then we get to the tops and bottoms. We get the lip syncs. It's always so sad when I see one of them fall because I'm like, god damn it. You know, it's like. It was also in a dress that they have not performed in before because they just made it. So it's hard to kind of judge how big you can go in it. Do we think Ariel would have stuck around a bit more over Sugar if she had not fallen? I see a lot of head shaking. Michael, what are you shaking your head at down there?
When we were watching it, Vincent, my husband, said he thought Ariel had it, and I said no, because I thought that Sugar really was portraying a lot of it through, facially. Mm-hmm. There was a lot more strength in her face and what she was doing with the lip sync, and I think that Ariel would have gone home, fall or no fall.
Okay. Yeah. No, and I agree. I was watching it. I was like, okay, you're actually like acting it, and like I can see you like getting off. And that's a patter song, y'all. That was not an easy song for them to lip sync to, especially that little like kind of mini rap at the end. Andrew, what did you think?
I think Sugar had it from the beginning. I think they were kind of just over Ariel. They didn't have faith she was going to give them anything new.
You kind of that in the panel. Yeah, the panel saying stuff. It was like they're not digging her.
If you watched Untucked, you saw Sugar got that note from her fiance. And I think they did that, they timed that to give Sugar the boost, fight for something, go out there and win. I think there was a little bit of producing in there to make sure Sugar did her best.
That, but also I saw Untucked before I saw the show proper this week. And when I saw that she got the message, I was like, oh, are they setting her up to go home? Because they have the messages pre-recorded, and it's like, well, you're going home, so we can't give this to you again, so here it is. So I'm like, I don't know. But if you see the show, you obviously know what happens before they get the note.
Well, do you think they were setting her up to go home, but because Ariel fell, things didn't work out that way?
Yeah, that could be true too. Walter, what are you thinking about the lip sync?
It's irrelevant that she fell. That was a 1:30 in the morning at Barracuda performance. It was just drag queen 101. It had no personality. It was nothing. So of course she was going home, and it took them 5 weeks, but they finally sent a white person home. So they were not going to be sending Sugarcane home. No way, no how. But can I just want to say one thing about Sugarcane that kind of bugs me? I like her personally, but her is one of those people. Whenever I see her, I think, are you really a drag queen? You look like just somebody who worked in the financial industry who's at Fire Island for the weekend, and you're dressing up. It doesn't seem organic to him.
Okay.
But
he had that job. That's his story, I guess. He worked that kind of job. So
it just doesn't seem organic.
Is it more that he's finding himself, or is it that she's finding herself right now, being like, because this person's so new to the drag world and drag performing that maybe they hadn't had the time to develop that thing?
Yeah, I think that's possible because he is older, okay, and he is relatively new to it, so he hasn't been steeped in the culture as these younger kids and all that. He's nice, but I just feel like he's the imposter there. It's weird.
Aaliyah, what do we think? Do we think it was Ariel going home the whole night, or could she have pulled it if she didn't trip?
I do, sadly. I think they sent Ariel home not because she fell. I think Walter's right, it's irrelevant. I think they sent her home because for a lot of what you just said about Sugarcane, I feel like kind of applies to Ariel. I feel like they've all talked about how she's like the social media star and yada 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 da, da, da. I think Ariel's still in the process of trying to discover herself as an entertainer outside of that box that she's been placed into. And I think that's why they sent her home, was because she doesn't, from what I've gathered just from the television show, I don't think she knows enough about herself as a performer, as an entertainer, as a full-fledged character as some of the other queens. And I think that's why she went home. Because like y'all said, she had nothing else to really show. She showed everything that she knew how to do up to this point. So, bye, girl. See you on the road.
Girl, bye. Yeah. And Christopher, what did you think?
Yeah, I agree with everybody. First of all, like what people who go on this show need to start learning about the lip syncs, and we've all touched on this before, is it is not exactly how flashy you can make that lip sync and how sensual you can do it. It's how true to the song you are lip syncing that you can be. And the reality is, I like Ariel very much. She was giving me Whitney Houston as interpreted by Britney Spears, whereas Sugarcane was giving it by Whitney Houston. She was performing it like Whitney Houston performed it, lip syncing wise, otherwise. And Ariel was kind of doing this sensual pop star, and it's like, well, that doesn't really fit that song. Like that's not, if you were doing Out a Slave for You, great, but that's not the song. Also, her time was up. I think, like everybody said, she needs to still find herself as she needs to find her niche, or she needs to create a niche for herself. She's a great singer. That musical episode, she did a great job. She should lean heavier into that. If she really lean forward into that, she could probably do great things outside of the show. But she's beautiful. She needs to take the focus off of that and off of that same big Jersey housewife hair that she's been doing, and go in this direction. And I think she'll do great then.
Awesome.
Stop crying, sir.
She does cry. She does cry. So we're 5 weeks in now. We're week 6 next week. And I know we've kind of struggled with the top 4 here on the panel because we kind of we're not really sure yet. I think it's starting to solidify for me. My conspiracy theory with Brooklyn and Vanjie, or Brangie, if you will, is that they're playing that up so hard because they're going to be top 4 and they're going to be lip syncing against each other. And I think that will make for fantastic television. So I think they want that to happen. Whether it happens or not is not necessarily up to just production. So there are other elements that would have to happen there. But do you all have a top 4, top 2, top 7.5? I don't know. I like a 7.5 for a top. Russ, what do you think?
Let's see. I think Brooklyn, Vanjie. I still think what's her name?
The memorable one, right?
No, it's not Sugar. It's
Scarlett.
Scarlett, I think, is still dark horse, and Evie.
All right, I'll take that top 4. Michael, what do you got?
I've got Evie, Brooklyn, Nina, and Vanjie. But Vanjie is slipping. So maybe Scarlett could be in there somewhere as a dark horse.
Yeah, true. I could see that. She's very confident. But yeah, she needs to cinch more. Andrew.
I think I'm starting to get on the Nina train a bit more and more each episode. I think Nina could make it. Evie, Vanjie, I think she's not doing poorly enough that she's going to be in the bottom anytime soon. Mm-hmm. And while I don't think she'll make top 4, I have to say I am falling more and more in love with Sugarcane every week. I want to go see her. I want her to come to Vegas so I can go see her. So I'm hoping she'll last a little bit longer.
Awesome. And who's next? Let's say the dreaded and feared. Do you have a top 4?
Barring some unexpected catastrophe, Evie will win. But up on stage that night will be probably Brooklyn. Probably you might get a Kyria in there as a surprise, because her looks are really, really good.
Yeah,
and possibly Silky.
Yeah, I feel like Silky might be eliminated late and brought back for All Stars at some point, but I know, but we've seen stuff like that happen before.
I know, you're right. I know.
Aaliyah, do you have a top 4 or 3, 2?
I agree with Walter. Evie is the winner.
Mm-hmm.
I also agree with you, Alex. I think they're going to play up this whole Brooklyn and Vanjie thing, and then I think when they get to 5, it's going to be them two lip syncing each other to see who makes it to top 4.
Yeah,
I think that would make for you better television.
That's fun too, yeah.
So, damn. I'm going to agree with Akira because I think she is the dark horse. She's consistent so far. Her looks have been great. She's not the best at any one particular thing, but it's all about consistency, right? So I think she'll be in there. And as much as I hate it because I don't care for this individual, but I think Silky will be in there as well. I think Silky will stick around long enough because that hits all your markets, right? You got your crazy, plus size. You got your like traditional, like, you know,
Pageant queen.
future of drag with Brooklyn. Yeah, and then I think you have Akira, which is more like pageantry, like classic drag. I think that would make a great top 4.
Yeah, that's pretty strong. And Christopher Henry, what are your thoughts?
God. Well, I think it depends on if we're gonna get look challenges or acting challenges over the next. I mean, that's what's really gonna make or break this. I think if we get more performance-based challenges, Nina will probably be in the top 4, along with Evie, Brooklyn, and Vanjie. I agree. I think Silky, like, they'll keep her around for good TV, but they're probably not going to put her in the top 4. But they will definitely bring her back for All Stars because they want another season of her. And God, that made my pussy hurt. But if it's not acting challenges, I think Akira is another one that could be in there if it's more design-based challenges, because Nina's not, by her own admission, she does fine, but she's not strong enough to contend with the others. They won't get rid of Angie and Brooklyn. They won't, like everybody has said, like they could set up a really cool Jujubee Raven crying like lip sync moment, even though that is the most awkward pairing of 2 people since Michael Jackson and Lisa Marie. Like every time they kiss, I'm like,
but we're not there, so I don't see it. But all right.
Yeah, that's a pair. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Wouldn't put them together. Yeah. Like you both though. You're great.
They're also both seeing each other naked, and we're not. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's the issue. All right, well, guys, this was a good panel this week, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for watching RuPaul. Thank you for watching the RuCap with the Drag Queen Database at Q Life. And until next week, my dears, everybody say bye.
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 Opulence.